Hi, I'm in Anglesey today at Oriel Môn, the art gallery here over in Llangefni. We've been staying in Cricketh, but we've come back over to Anglesey. We've come to Anglesey for the day to have a look at this exhibition. I wanted to see it before it went off. It finishes, I think, early August 2025, so I'll wait to come and see it. It's the largest exhibition for this artist for a number of years, probably like 40 years. I think in 83, I think was the last sort of major exhibition of his work that was perhaps bigger than this. It's a huge solo exhibition by his sort of standards. The artist died in 2018. His name was Leonard Mccomb. Worked in various mediums, watercolour, oil paints, and also sculpture. And so this exhibition is one I've wanted to see for quite a while. His work and why it's on this in this gallery is because of his time spent on Anglesey and his connection with the place. Leonard was born in Scotland, in Glasgow, moved over to Ireland when he was very young. His parents were from Ireland. I think his dad was Protestant, his mother was Catholic, which was probably a bit unusual at the time, but he was one of six. I think he was the oldest of six. And they sort of lived in Ireland not for very long before then moving to Manchester. I think that was for sort of jobs that they were after for the family, for the dad. And so they came over to Wythenshawe in Manchester, and he kind of grew up here. He grew up there rather in Manchester, sort of nearer to where I'm from. He was very good at art. Studied and started doing classes at the Manchester School of Art, and then applied and was accepted to go to the Slade in London. Went to the Slade, was successful there, and he then did another degree at the Slade, which was in sculpture, and then eventually went on to teach Bristol. He also taught in London, became a Royal Academician, and then I think was in charge of the Royal Academy schools. Really interesting artist. And so this exhibition is to do with his works, particularly on Anglesey. So when he died in 2018, the family wanted some of his works to go into art galleries that were relevant to the areas that he'd painted. And so Leonard had done quite a lot of works relating to Anglesey, specifically because his mother, after the father had died, ended up living in Benlec on Anglesey. So Leonard would come up from London, spend quite a lot of time with his mother here in her cottage, and would paint the sort of environment around him in Anglesey. He was really well known for his landscapes and his portraits, and he really liked nature, and so Anglesey, what a place to be to see that. And so when he died and this as the estate was gone through, there's quite a number of works to do with Anglesey, and they've been given by the family to Oriel Môn for their collection, and that was in like 2020. I think they were gifted to the gallery, and so they've got them here on display for the first time, and this exhibition contains those works and also a number of works from public collections, from other collections of the family, and there's other galleries and things like that. I think there's some work from Manchester Art Gallery and probably some other places as well. There's a couple of massive pieces which I'm looking forward to showing you, but that's enough of me blabbering on. I'll spin it around now, and then you can have a look at some of the works. Okay, here we go. Right, so where to start, really? I think I'll start over at his amazing portraits, which I absolutely love in particular. And these, well, actually, this is a woman by the window here, 1980, watercolour. Look at the size of these things. Scale is massive. And these are built up on different paper panels and put together like a jigsaw. This is an oil on canvas, a young woman holding a duck. It's 1993. This one I think is great, portrait of Philippa Cooper, all on canvas. That's in a private collection, that one. Try and stand back a bit. Love that. Portrait of Doris Lessing, and that's from the National Portrait Gallery collection in London. portrait of Rebecca Hawkins, pastel. Portrait of Louise Arnold. And this one I'm kind of familiar with because I've seen this one hanging in Manchester Art Gallery. And that's a portrait of Leonard's mother, Delia, from 1993. There's a self-portrait of Leonard there from 2002. Right, I'll come back to that bit in a minute. I'll skip over here now. You can see some of his sculptures here as well, some of his works. Right, we'll head over to this side now. Some of his, some of these other works. These are all from the collection. Well, actually, that's from a private collection as well. That's a watercolour. Sunflowers from 1998. There is some sketchbook material in here as well, which is great to see.
Nature's been throughout the important.
Look at the letter there.
That's been painted and drawing or sculpture. I'm fascinated these days.
There is a video playing here as well in the exhibition.
Each fingerprint.
There's a sneak peek there at a work that I'll show you the full version of shortly. A bit closer to it, a photograph of him there. Okay, head along here now, a bit further. So that's Amlech, Port, 1996. Hill in Anglesey. Another Amlech, 985. I like this waterfall here because it does kind of, although it's an oil on canvas, it is kind of looks a little bit like a watercolour in its handling. And there's an acrylic. That side, Dr. Leonard Mccomb, RA. Okay, now I'm going to show you now two huge works which kind of take over the show really, and these are the showstoppers. One's bigger than the other, and they're both absolutely massive, and that's them. And these relate to Benlek, which is where his mother lived. These are the rocks here at Benlek, and they're all made on individual paper panels and hung together as to create this huge work. These are awesome. I mean, these are they're massive. They're like 15 feet tall, wide, yeah, I'd say maybe more. What was the height of these, would you say?
About 15 foot.
About 15 foot. Yeah, absolutely vast.
12.
Yeah. And the other one's even bigger, which I'll show you. So it's about 15 by 15, about 15 by 15. That maybe. Absolutely massive. And it's 1983. This one. Get close in. Fantastic. And these were, like I said, these were given to the Oriel as part of the estate, which is absolutely amazing. The hanging of them was quite a process as well. They had to get a paper conservator in, sort of make sure everything was done properly and looked after. And I'll give you the full scale of the gallery now. There is another sculpture there, and there's one at the end there, but as you can see, we're walking towards this work here, which is probably one of the biggest works on paper held in any public art gallery in the UK, because it is massive. It's about, well, again, about 15 feet high by about 30 feet wide, and it's vast. It's all made up of individual panels again, and it also relates to Benlek, and that's the one I showed you a moment ago where you saw Leonard stood in front of it. And it says underneath, actually got a bit of some writing underneath, out of the cradle, endlessly rocking. Love that one. I think it's fantastic, and the way it fits into this room, because this room is a big old space. It's incredible that it was like it was just about made to fit this room, because you couldn't have, I mean, had it been another panel bigger, it would have been trailing quite a bit more on the floor. It goes up to just underneath that rafter there, as you can see, and it couldn't have really been much bigger. It is massive. And interestingly, when this was given to the gallery as a work, it came in a box, and they had it for a while before they could sort of, to see if it would actually fit the room. So the gallery that we're in now, when it was empty one particular day on a Monday, when they were closed, they laid it all out onto the floor to see if it would fit. And when they opened up the box, they realised that there was a second work in the box. So they rang up Leonard's sister, who has the estate, and sort of said, "Oh, there seems to be two works in here. We were only given one, which is this one." And she said, "Oh, there should only be one in there." So anyway, they took it out, and the work that they took out is the one there that I showed you earlier at the other end there. And that work there, which is, like I say, it's still absolutely massive, but it's about half the size of the one behind me. That one there was undocumented. The sister didn't even know it was in the box, and yeah, and it relates to the same place. They both relate to Benlek, and so yeah, she gave them that as well. So they ended up two for the price of one, really, which was both gifted. So that was okay. So yeah, they got this. It's incredible. Anyway, it's really good to see this, and like I say, it's the biggest exhibition of his work for over 40 years, and I'm really chuffed to have come to see it. And this sculpture here is on loan from Manchester Art Gallery. This young male nude, and it's one of his most known works, as well as that one there, by the way. It's one of his most known works, and this is on loan from Manchester Art Gallery. There's 3 versions of it, of which this is one. There is one in the Tate as well, and I think that one in the Tate caused a bit of controversy, because I think it was withdrawn from Lincoln Cathedral when it was on display there, because it was a nude man and whatever. But there you go. Okay. And that's about it, I think. Oh no, sorry. There's a little bit more down this little corridor here. And what I forgot here, because I've not even looked at these, are some pastels. I like that. Watercolour. And I like that. In fact, I like a lot of these works. Ridiculous. Orange in a bowl, etching on paper. Chinese horseman in a ravine. AP etching. Like I say, in homage to Vincent van Gogh. That's an etching there. Portrait of a young woman. Portrait of Andros from 1985. And then Sleeping Nude 1977. There isn't actually that many works from the 70s and before, because from what I gather, I think he destroyed a lot of his earlier work. So you do see sort of work, anything that's sort of usually 80s onwards is what you tend to see. Look at this one here. Cat blossom, apple tree, blackbird and thrush, etching on paper. Trees in South London Park, and a few more here. Primroses, and then portrait of a young man. which is gouache, ink and watercolour and paper, and that's yeah, one there. I think my favourite though is obviously the huge one there at the bottom, the huge landscape, which I'll just run down to again so you can have a final look at that. It's 1983 it is. Like I say, Benlek, it's called Rock and Sea Anglesey, and you sort of have to be here, I suppose, to appreciate the scale of it. And there's some studies here, I think, for this. Potentially these studies, maybe the individual. Oh, these are rocks at Anglesey, rocks at Benlek here. So these are just, I mean, they're big works, but just compared to that, they're absolutely tiny. And that's the whole gallery there. Okay, right, and that's enough about that. So hope you enjoyed that. Me rambling on. Okay, take care. Thank you. See you later, guys.